Okay.
Hello?
Okay.
All right, Jacob born. Jacob born. Oh yeah, his name is Jacob born, and it's spelled exactly the way you think it is. Oh yeah!
Okay, so this is the podcast. You're like, damn, that is a sweet podcast. Live out there. Whatever.
And then, all of a sudden, this schmucky guy, he starts trying to sing, and like, you could totally hear that he's dancing in his chair. He's probably a horrible dancer in his chair, but like, why is he singing when they're not talking about hockey? I don't get it.
So one day we decided those trendy sons of bitches are going down. Okay.
Chinese, you'll say. Mm-hmm.
我说中文.
I prefer sushi. What do you say to that, motherfucker?
This got way off topic way too quickly.
And ironically about race, when that was the topic of the day, if you were following Twitter and
I was.
And the LA Clippers, owner. Oh my God, why is his name leaving me? Please help me.
Donald Sterling?
Yeah, thank you.
Donald Sterling, because I was about to say David Sterling.
Yeah,
like,
so was I.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was swift.
Yeah, but you might say it was a stern, reaction. Boom.
Alright, folks, that was Born to Puck.
Just tell me to leave, because that was an awful pun. But there might be a silver lining in it.
No. I commend you. No. You can keep going. I'm giving you an award, a reward even, for making those two jokes because I wanted to make them as well.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Yes.
Alright, so today is Tuesday, February 29th.
It is the 29th.
How is it like a quarter of the way through 2014 already?
I don't know. I don't know how it's April and it's still only like 40 degrees outside.
Oh, global warming.
It's almost May. So, pisses me off.
Global warming. So I'm reading NHL.com's header and it has Zach Attack on it, but because Parise spells Zach with an H, in my head I read it as Zach.
Zach Attack? Zach Attack?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
What would your brother have to say about that?
He would say it's Zach Attack.
He seems jaded.
He seems jaded?
Yeah, cause he would read it, his name is spelled the same way, so he'd read it Zach.
Well, no, he spells it Z-A-C-K.
This is not the argument we've had.
No, the argument you've had is Zachary versus Zachary.
Mm-hmm. But I thought I wanted to have the argument because I wanted to see if you would take your brother's side or not, because I thought it was spelled C-H.
In his long name, it's spelled Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y. But when he shortens it, he spells it Z-A-C-K.
Oh!
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, now that I think about it, it's not that weird. When you spell Jacob, it's with a C.
Right.
And when you spell Jake, it's with a K.
Exactly.
A silent E.
Exactly. What I find
are more silent. Wait, which are more silent? Silent E's or SBDs?
SBDs?
Silent but
parts. I had it took me a little bit. Sorry, I'm not quite as awake as I might have been earlier today because I woke up to the phone call telling me that I was 20 minutes late to a class where I was giving a presentation in. So that kind of woke me up real quick and had me sprint out of my room down Wisconsin to my class. And multiple people saw me running to class, and then they put it in a group message that just saw Born running to class.
Wow. I mean, Did you remember to put pants on?
Yes, thankfully I did. I put on a pair of shorts and I go, no, I'm not wearing shorts. And then I throw on a khakis and I thought, no, all my shit's in jeans. So then I grabbed my jeans, threw those on, threw on a jacket, found my glasses and just ran. I didn't even bother with anything else.
Did you put your new bra on?
My bra? No. Thankfully my A cups are able to be out in the open when I run. I don't need the extra support.
Oh, you're so lucky.
I know, I really am.
God damn. I mean, like, just to find something that fits over the top of these things is such a pain in the ass, and it's not even comfortable.
No, it's really not. When I have to wear one, it's quite frustrating, so that's why I prefer to free boob it.
And it's not like we moved to warmer weather, we'd be able to go, oh, well, at least our nipples won't show through. But no, because then we'll be sweating. And that's like even worse because you're wearing less clothing and you'll just see even more nip. It'd just be like a nip slips through your clothes all day long, all day, every day. And that's even worse, but like,
I know, it looks like I'm smuggling raisins under my shirt right now.
And scene. Do you want to talk about hockey yet?
I'd like to actually talk about hockey.
Alright, well, let's stick to a body part. Let's call them wings.
Wait, what?
Let's stick to the body parts. We'll call them wings. The Detroit Red Wings, who were eliminated by the Boston Bruins in 5 games.
Womp, womp, womp.
I really thought that the Wings would do better. I thought, I probably shouldn't have thought that, but I did think that.
I mean, it's the Boston Bruins and
That's the worst part.
What? That it's the Boston Bruins?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, well, okay. From your fan allegiance, I can see how that's the worst part. No, but I mean, the Bruins are easily the best team out in the East. And I think it's going to take not a severe collapse, but it's going to take some real damage for them not to come out of the East. And so, I mean, everybody expected Boston to win. And the fact that they just did it in 5 isn't really all that unfathomable. Like, the Red Wings were kind of coming into the series limping, especially with Zetterberg only coming back for Game 5. And it's not that big of a surprise to me. I kind of expected it.
Yeah, you're right. It's just not what I wanted to see.
That's fair.
And I was really looking forward to seeing Nyquist, as I'm sure we all were.
Where did he go?
Matchup. He was constantly shadowed by Bergeron and Krejci, and so he was neutralized.
Yeah, because Boston did that really well. Because I didn't see Tatar on the score sheet that often either.
No, the Red Wings could barely get anything going, offensively speaking, and it's not as though they played poorly. It's just the other team was better. Oh,
totally agree. And I think also I don't know if they were like in the back of their heads consciously thinking it, but I'm pretty sure the Red Wings were just happy to make the playoffs to keep the playoff streak alive. And then once they got there, they're like, okay, guys, we did what we're supposed to. Now let's see if we can just do something that people aren't expecting us to do.
Pavel Datsyuk, 3 goals, including the game winner in Game 1.
That was nasty. That was an unbelievably beautiful goal.
Can you see the magic man, the magic man? No, you can't. That's why he's magical.
Just standing there in awe as you watch him work it.
Could you imagine if he was American or Canadian?
If he was Canadian, I think that, well, if he was Canadian, he would easily be, if he was Canadian, I think people would regard him as the greatest hockey player in the world, not Gretzky. I could see that being a legitimate argument from the side. Because I don't want to say just because he's Russian, he's not considered the greatest hockey player that's ever played the game. But I think if he's Canadian, the Canadian media would just have a giant circle jerk saying how great Pavel Datsyuk is.
And in this particular case, they wouldn't be completely overdoing it.
They would, yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be completely overdoing it, but they would still be overdoing it, much like ESPN completely blew up the Donald Sterling stuff.
I mean, you've got to stop once you start chafing. It's just not worth it anymore.
No, it's really not.
Learned the hard way.
Lube it up, take a day off, and go at it the next day.
Oh, God. Just sweetheart, just drink more water, please.
Are you talking to your cat, or is that, like, legitimate?
A thing I've said to a girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to have to use lube every time.
Ow.
Now, was that to me or simultaneous?
That was to you. That was to you, me picturing what would happen, and I was going, ow, 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 because I would not want that to happen to me.
No, you don't need it to happen either. I mean, it's not even comfortable walking around that way. Like, you need to go commando in some shorts for like a week.
That's awful. That sounds awful.
It was. In any event, kudos to the Boston Bruins. There's just not a whole lot to say here. The Wings, a valiant effort in making it to the playoffs. The Bruins kind of cruised through the regular season. And when those two matchups meet, this tends to be what happens. A 4-1 series victory for the top seeded Bruins. And, fuck Boston.
Yep. And now we get the NHL gets its wet dream of a second round matchup being the Boston Bruins versus the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm thoroughly excited for that series.
Yeah, and that's really the fringe benefit here is that we get to see Habs Bruins, and who doesn't want to see that? Oh my God! Like I
Red Wings
moved to Montreal. Well, yeah, but now I want to move to Montreal for 2 weeks.
Oh, that's the thing. I think I really want to go to Montreal and see a hockey game, especially if it's a Montreal game.
Oh, you have to. It's the best venue I've ever been to. It's like, it's not even close. It's not even close. Oh my God.
Obviously, I want to go into hockey media, so I'd go there as like a writer, but I want to go there as a fan too, just to be there and as a fan, because I think that'd be awesome.
Well, just go. Look, alright, let me rephrase that, because sometimes you can't just go. Right. But at your next opportunity to go to Montreal and see a game, especially if it's not as a writer, just do it. Bite the bullet, whatever it costs, and go. Yep. You will not regret it at all. And make sure you have the vodka and make sure you have the bagels, because I have not had better.
Okay. Yeah. Me and a few friends of mine were thinking about doing not an impromptu, but just like a random trip to Toronto.
Yeah? Oh, to go to the Hall of Fame.
Just go to the Hall of Fame, just like over a long break, like fall break. Just take the drive, just go, okay, we're just gonna go do it, and just do it, because it's like only a 9-hour drive, and I say only 9-hour drive, but even like it's not like it's 3 hours, but it's fairly long. But I mean, that'd be fun. The only thing is we gotta get passports. That's the only thing, or at least get them up here.
Do it. Whatever you gotta do to do it, do it.
Yeah. But yes, Boston Red Wings. Sorry, Red Wings, but kind of knew it was happening.
And let's talk about an animal. All right, because I'm hungry. It's 6:33 here in New York. I'm thinking duck.
Yes.
In my opinion, for 6 games, this was the best series of the first round. This had 2 teams out for blood a lot bit more after each sequential game.
Yeah, they definitely wrapped it up. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I paused. Oh my God. And I wish I could have seen this live, but like I was out, I was out playing with, during the day, and I was too tired at night, and I watched the highlights the next morning, that NHL.com provides, and holy shit, Dallas at home, about to send it to Game 7, and then, no, oh my God. I cannot imagine what it was like being a Dallas Stars fan in the building, during Game 6. That just sounds utterly heartbreaking.
Yeah, I can't imagine being there at the AAC, just seeing those Ducks goals as they were coming in. That would just, oh man, that would, like you just said it perfectly. It would break my heart.
But this series was a playoff series. This series was, oh, yeah? Is that what you think, chump? Well, let me show you this. And just constantly trying to one-up each other, whether it was with a sweet deke, a snipe, or an elbow to the nose. It was like if I could find a new torrent to go download these games and rewatch them, I probably would. That's how much I enjoyed watching these games. And I need to watch Game 6, but let's talk about the Ducks because that's what brought us into this conversation. So originally, if I recall correctly, we both agreed Ducks in 4.
I had Ducks in 5.
Okay, but still, that's like a gentleman's sweep, right?
Right, exactly.
So now this went to 6, but this basically went to 7 in that the Ducks started their comeback with less than 3 minutes to go in the third period, down 2 goals. And so what I'm trying to get at is the Ducks had to actually fight their way out of the first round. And that was well, I'm sort of saying the same thing over again, aren't I? Shit. I just noticed I was being redundant.
Well, no, I kind of get what you're saying in the sense that when going into the series, everybody thought that it was going to be Ducks were going to take care of their business. Stars maybe win one game, probably at home, but it was going to be an easy tune-up sort of matchup for the Ducks, and then they're going to be able to carry their weight into the second round, and that's when really the playoffs were going to start for them.
Yes, thank you.
But the Stars came out and they took it to them, and in game 1 and 2, the Ducks took care of their shit, and then game 3 and 4, Dallas completely flipped the script and took it to 2 games, and I think Anaheim was really caught on their heels, and I mean, Anaheim really had to work, especially for that Game 6 win, in order to come out of that first round, and they came out of the first round black and blue, because they didn't think the Stars were going to put up as big as a fight as they did, and like you said, them one-upping each other, I can't agree more, because you really saw from Game 1 to Game 6 how these teams, how like after the whistle stuff just kept going and going, especially to the point where Corey Perry gets in a fight. Are you kidding me? Like,
oh yeah,
doesn't happen except for anywhere in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. So these were the goal scorers in Game 6 in order. Daly and Eakins to go up 2-0 for the Stars. Devontae Smith-Pelly cut it to 2-1. Garbett made it 3-1 for the Stars in the first. Ben Lovejoy cut it to 3-2. Trevor Daly again makes it 4-2. And then Nick Bonino 4-3. Devontae Smith-Pelly ties it with 24 seconds left. And then Bonino again for the winner. Like I could go down the assists so we could see some first-time players here, but the goal scorers, that's all depth.
Yep.
And I think the most important thing that we learned from the Ducks, actually, let me give you 3. One, right. Their goaltending, I don't want to call it a mess yet, but they're starting to look like the Penguins of the West. Their depth is every bit as good as I was saying, and if you were too, as you were as well, I don't recall off the top of my head. And number 3, regardless, this is not a comment on Boudreaux, because the depth players stepped up and they had themselves a fucking game. And that's what you need a couple of times in every series in order to win it. And the Ducks got it in, at that time, the most important game of the season. Oh my gosh, that's just freaking awesome.
Yeah, we've talked about it already, that depth is, the playoffs aren't about having your best players win. Playoffs are about having your depth players get you the W. That the stars of the team couldn't get. And that's the kind of win that the Ducks got in Game 6.
Not to look too far ahead, but this might be the last time, this particular season, might be the last time we see Anderson and Hiller in Ducks uniforms. But we'll get to that. But for now, let's move on to our next series, which is the Columbus Blue Jackets and Pittsburgh Penguins. The upset series that we both picked. You had it in 6, I had it in 7. Jackets both ways. And we were wrong.
We were unfortunately wrong.
We kind of knew we had a good chance to be wrong coming in. I mean, come on, Penguins, Blue Jackets, that's not a big surprise. But, let me ask you this. If you are Ray Shero of the Penguins and you are allowed to choose one player off the now defeated Columbus Blue Jackets to absorb into your roster, and we're just going to go ahead and assume that that the absorbed player agrees to put on the Penguins uniform happily.
Yeah.
Is it not Brandon Dubinsky that Ray Shero chooses?
Oh, it's easily Brandon Dubinsky. That was the first name that popped into my head.
And that is a classic depth pick. And not to go back to what we were talking about just now, the Stars and Ducks, but what is so foreboding for the Penguins right now is the underside of the roster is not very good. And so it wouldn't make sense to bring in Jack Johnson. Well, maybe Jack Johnson because, depth on defense is different.
Right.
But Ryan Johansson, which is the name I meant to go with the first time, where's he going to play on the top 6? So bring in Dubinsky, the agitator, the grinder, the guy with skill, the second line guy perfectly suited for the third line role. Also, you afford Sidney Crosby the opportunity to play some pranks on Sidney Crosby in an effort to get back at him. You don't know. Maybe they have a Rochambeau before game 1 in the next series just to get it out of their system. And if you put that on camera on YouTube, yeah, that was silly. But, what did you think of the series? What were some of the things that you learned about either team?
I learned that Columbus is becoming a hockey town more and more. And that the fans are finally getting rewarded for their 10 plus years of loyalty to a team that has always been in the bottom feeder of the bottom of the West and now, the bottom of the West because they just have been in the East for 1 year. But from what I learned is that the Columbus Blue Jackets have fight in them and that the Penguins, we talked about it a little bit, but they like to be a little bit more vulnerable than people think. And I think that Columbus is going to be fighting around for a very long time, and they are going to be a very, very fun team to watch over the next 5 years. And Nationwide Arena and Columbus is going to start becoming a destination where fans are going to want to travel and see their team play there because of the kind of atmosphere that they bring.
This kind of atmosphere is everything that you want as a hockey fan too. And look, they're not going to have a legacy. We need to give it at least 25 more years to have some sort of legacy. So we're not even going to get into that, right? And they have the opportunity to start building something that becomes a destination spot, which is what I think you were trying to get at overall. And this group of talent is so good collectively that it makes you want to see them. Tell me if this isn't a weird sentence.
All right.
Maybe trade a couple of prospects or draft picks for an elite scorer or D-man? What? Is that a thing anybody has ever suggested that the Blue Jackets do?
Nope.
Oh my God, that might be the first time outside the organization someone's uttered that suggestion.
Yeah, it's becoming a very real thing that the Jackets are only a couple pieces away from possibly becoming playoff contenders.
And what if we learned about the Penguins? And you watched Game 6.
Yes,
did
I
not.
did.
Well, I mean, like it was on the screen in front of me, but like I was so tired at the time. I didn't really absorb much information past Malkin's hat trick.
The Pittsburgh Penguins epitomized a team that was desperately trying not to lose a game. Not trying to win the game, trying not to lose the game. They were totally sitting back. They weren't attacking the Jackets. And what ended up happening is the Jackets were clawing their way. They got the first goal. And then you could kind of sense it's like, okay, we got one. Great, boys. Like, let's go out there and get another one. And then they got two, and then they started looking at each other thinking, oh boy, could this really happen? And then they got the third goal, and then you saw them, they're like, we can do this. We can do this. And then on the other side of the ice, you're thinking the Penguins went one goal. Okay, that's fine. We just let them one goal. Two goals, they said, shit. All right, guys, lock it up. Three, and they're like full on panic mode, like shit, guys. We cannot lose this game. And then they had to tighten down, and they ended up tightening down and finishing it off. But, I mean, it was great to see. It was great to see how much Columbus was, and it was just exposed so much for the Penguins, especially with how depleted they were at center in the end of the game, only down to two guys.
What do you mean only down to two guys?
Well, so, what was it? It was Vitale got injured, and Suter got injured. Mm-hmm. So, they were only down to two centers at the end of the game. So, it really opened up how little depth they have. Because we've talked about already that the top six, there's a clear line between the top six and the bottom six of the Penguins. Mm-hmm. And there's a clear line between the top 3, 4 defensemen and the bottom 2, 3 defensemen for the Penguins. It's pretty much Team A and Team B. And when part of that Team A or part of that Team B goes down, Penguins don't have much options. And that's really, it really showed towards that end of the Penguin series.
All right, I got you. This is a good thing because you know what? When the Rangers take care of the Flyers tonight and they have to go into Pittsburgh for Game 1 sometime later in the week. Good. I'm glad that we're going to be able to out-depth them. And I'm glad that we're going to be able to finally beat the Penguins in the playoffs for a change. Good.
Yeah, there you go.
So I was quickly looking up the Columbus Blue Jackets franchise index on hockeyreference.com. So what I'm getting at is 2011-12 in 82 games, 29 wins. Whew, some season.
Yep.
65 points. All right. 2012-13, the half season, the truncated season. Would you like to take a guess at how many wins and points they had that year?
Well, the Jackets, they played 48 games, 26 wins for,
that's 52
61.
Points. Okay?
61 points.
All right. Well, you're not that far off the mark. 24 wins, 55 points.
Shit. I wasn't sure. I didn't want to say if they, I didn't want to have 24 wins because that's exactly half the games, but that's still good.
This team went, and then this year, 43 wins, 93 points. And again, they only just barely made the playoffs, I understand, but this is the first time in their franchise's history that they've won more than half the games. The last time they were close previous to 2012-13 was in 28-09.
Last time they made the playoffs.
Exactly, when they had 41 wins and 92 points. So this season was all kinds of records for the franchise. That's a little bit pathetic, but in 13 seasons, but still, this is awesome. This is awesome to see. I don't understand how teams like the Oilers can't seem to figure it the fuck out, but that's another conversation for another time, isn't it?
Because they don't have the same administration that the Jackets do. They brought in the right people to right the ship and make sure that they're going in the right places.
Yeah! No, though, I mean, obviously you did. I just wanted to be emphatic about it. Alright, so one more thing about the Jackets and the Penguins.
Yes.
It's very easy and quite logical to presume that the Olympics had a huge effect on the goalie matchup in this series, Varlamov versus Fleury. Now, we know that Varlamov, I'm saying Varlamov. I meant Bobrovsky.
You meant Bob?
Yep. Thank you.
Or Bubtitsky?
That Bobrovsky versus Fleury, which one went to Sochi? Bobrovsky. And we know that Bobrovsky wasn't the starter, but Fleury got to go on a bit of a vacation and relax instead of traveling to the other side of the globe. Do you think that this was a key reason why he was unable to outplay Fleury in the series? Or perhaps Bobrovsky is more of a mediocre goalie than we were giving him credit for?
I don't think it's really either of those two. I mean, maybe fatigue played in a little bit of a role, with him going over to Sochi and Fleury staying at home. And it may be also a little bit of a role that he might be overvalued as a goaltender, especially after winning the Vezina last year. But I think it's more just, I mean, the Penguins are such an offensive team that they've got goal scorers on that team in that top six in order to beat Bob. And I mean, Crosby's obviously going to win the MVP. And I believe, Ovi's got the scoring title, so never mind. But, I mean, there's a lot of offense on the Penguins, and I think that part of it also has to come with, while we're all super hyped up on the Jackets, their defense still isn't all that great. Jack Johnson is obviously a great defender, but other than that, there's really no big names outside of maybe Nikita Nikitin, if you know who he is, on the Jackets that really solidifies that defense. So I think it's more just the Penguins are the top, one of the top teams in the East, and the Jackets are one of the fringe teams. And I mean, Bob still played well at times, and other times he showed that he was still not as an elite goaltender. So I wouldn't say that he is a mediocre goaltender. I think there are just a couple instances where the Penguins offense made him look silly. Alrighty.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, so there was, so did you get my thing about Martin and, not Martin, Suter and somebody else? Jokinen.
No.
Oh, they had 5 points as well.
Yep, yes they did. And, here, I'll give you a link of what I'm looking at.
Oh yeah, I was looking at it as well.
Alright, so, that's, Columbus and Pittsburgh. I think we can move over to a few predictions now that we're coming down to the end of the first round. Alright, so.
Alrighty.
Let's stay in the East. In the New York Rangers, Philadelphia Flyers. Alright. So what's gonna happen in this series? Well, I think the Rangers are gonna score 15 goals in the first and mercy the Philadelphia Flyers here in Game 6 tonight.
Solid. That is a solid prediction outside the world of reality, but inside this world I like to call reality, what is your actual prediction?
This is going to be a very physical game. The Flyers are going to come out not guns blazing. They're going to come out with that extra juice that a team who is against the wall tends to come out with, and a team that's called the Philadelphia Flyers tends to come out with. I think that the Rangers are going to be able to withstand this. I think that the Rangers are going to more or less control the game like they have each of the 6 games. But this game in particular tonight is going to be much more close. It's just going to be too little too late. The Rangers will win probably 3-2. Honestly, this is what we've been saying over the last couple of podcasts. It's not a very interesting series. Tonight could be interesting, but it's not a very interesting series. It hasn't been bloody. There hasn't been the extracurricular fisticuffs. No, there have been some dangles, some big hits, but nothing controversial. And I think it'll kind of end that way too. It'll just be an extra kick of cayenne in this soup tonight because it's possibly the last game of the Flyers season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the Flyers are definitely going to come out physical and definitely going to try and set the tone for the game. I think that the Rangers are going to be able to counteract that fairly well. I have a 4-1 final with 2 empty net goals.
Ooh, I like it.
So I think that Marty St. Louis is going to show up and get goal number 2, and then the Rangers are going to be able to hold off the Flyers' extra man efforts, and they'll get a couple of empty net goals in order to solidify the win. But yeah, I think it's going to be a physical series. The Flyers are going to try to do anything and everything they can do to force a Game 7. But I just think that the Rangers are going to step it up and be able to show up and get the W.
Claude Giroux is going to have more than 1 breakaway tonight. I'll even put a number on it. He's going to have 3. He's going to have 2. He's going to have 2 one-on-none breakaways. He's going to score on neither. And it's going to sort of encapsulate the series in that the Flyers weren't a bad team. They weren't necessarily able to always finish their opportunities, and that the teams that they get put up against in the playoffs, why am I saying it? It's plural. The Rangers are just better.
All right.
Maybe I'm just creating a narrative. Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really haven't paid attention to that as much as to the Philly Rangers series as possible. But yeah, I think that the Rangers are going to get it done tonight. The Flyers are going to be cleaning out their lockers in the next couple of days.
Cleaning out my closet. Alright, so before we get to the big one, let's make a couple of quick predictions for Game 7, Colorado, Minnesota, and then the final battle of California. So, do you want to kick us off out in the Midwest? So, what was the last thing you heard?
Predictions for the West.
Okay.
Starting with That's Wild.
Yep, do you want to kick us off?
Alright. Yeah, I think that both of these games are going to be fantastic games. And I'm going to start with Avs Wild. And I think that, Parise has 10 points in the series, and it's ridiculous. Nathan MacKinnon has been the X factor for the Avs. So it's going to be, I don't know who I've got in this game. I want to say the Avalanche because of the home ice, and it's really going to matter. And they have a lot of talent. So I'm still going to go with the Avs. I'm going to go Avs and I'm going to go 5-4 overtime final.
It's really tough not to take the home team who also happens to have the better goalie.
Exactly. But something about the Wild just makes me want to pick them. But I can't do it. I got to go Avs 5-4 overtime final. That's what I'm sticking with.
All right. Well, I'm going to go Matt Moulson. I'm just going to, you know what's going to happen? Matt Moulson is going to finally put on his big boy pants, maybe his Superman cape, and he's just going to go Super Saiyan on all y'all asses because he's going to score a double hat trick.
Okay then.
No. Here's what I really think is going to happen. It's going to be 2-1. And 2 of those 3 goals are going to be scored in the third period. None of the goals are going to be weird deflections or how did the goalie miss it? These are going to be high skill or snipe goals that you just got to tip your hat to the scorer on. This game is going to be not physical. It's going to be fast. They're not going to have enough time to collide bodies. What both teams, I think, will want to do is outpace the other. And because the Avs, A, are home, and B, have more youthful legs, I think that they're going to win that war. And so it's going to be a 2-1 final.
Gotcha.
All right. Now, let me kick off the Battle of California, San Jose versus Los Angeles. Holy shit! Who saw this coming?
Maybe the one resident Kings fan in my house. That's it.
Oh my god! Alright, so 2 weeks ago, if you said, oh yeah, Sharks Kings, 7 games, you were, oh yeah, that makes sense. But not after the Sharks go up 3-0. Okay, so, most interesting question in the playoffs. If the Penguins had lost their series and the Sharks lose on Wednesday or tomorrow night, which roster gets blown up faster? The Penguins or the Sharks?
Oh. I mean,
or you could take a third option. Regardless, if the Kings lose, don't they get blown up the fastest?
No. I'm gonna go, if any roster gets blown up the fastest, it's going to be the Sharks. Only if they lose this game. Because their window is closing the fastest out of any of those teams.
And they also don't have a cup in recent memory. Or, well, they don't have one ever.
They don't have a cup, period. Right. But yeah, their window's closing, they're gonna lose the cup, and so what they're gonna do, they're not gonna have a cup, so they're gonna try to trade their aging stars for more talent to surround themselves to try to prop that window open for a little bit longer. But if the Sharks do not win this series, their rosters get blown up real quick. And I would not be surprised I'll talk about that later.
Okay. But let's just focus back on Game 7 because we kind of needed to acknowledge the 800-pound gorilla with that question. Well, the original question, not the which roster gets blown up faster, but prediction for Game 7. Because I think it's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh, for sure.
Alright, since I have the mic, I'll go first.
Yep.
A, it's really hard to choose. And B, I think it's going to be the Sharks. I think it's going to be the Sharks because they need to win. And they have enough leadership to look at each other and say, guys, we're winning this game. Come hell or high water, if it takes until the sun explodes, we're winning this fucking game. They have the talent to do it. I believe in their willpower. I believe in their health. All those reasons. I still think it's like a 4-3 game. And I don't think it's necessarily a dramatic win either. Like the Sharks could go up like 4-2 early in the third, and it'd still be a battle until the bitter ends. But 4-3, Sharks win in one of the best games we're going to see all of 2013-14, including the Olympics.
I have to agree with you because I think this is going to be a bloodbath, and I think that these teams are going to be, if the the Avs Wild game is going to be a very fast-paced game, I think that the Sharks and the Sharks and LA Kings are going to have a very good hybrid of that high skill weaving in and out, like very flow style of offense. Absolutely bone crushing hits and just grinding it out. I think you're going to see a lot of that kind of style interchange between the two. It's going to be a very exciting game. I definitely agree with you that this could be one of the best games in the entire 2013-2014 regular and postseason. I think that this game goes to overtime as well, and I think that the Sharks are going to win. I like your 4-3 prediction, so I'm going to go with 4-3 in OT with Logan Couture scoring the game-winning goal. No, Joe Pavelski. What am I talking about? Joe Pavelski scores a game-winning goal.
But just because I want somebody to go, Wiggles! Wiggles! Wiggles, Tommy! Wiggles! Wins it! Just because I want to hear that, I'm going to say it's Tommy Wiggles.
I got you.
Sorry about your earbuds, or eardrums.
Ah. Oh, good. Listen to louder music than that.
No doubt. Alright, well, we've done all the series except for the Tampa, which we've covered ad nauseum, and one other one. Yep. And well, Jake, I'm gonna put my mic on mute, and I'm just gonna let you at it.
All right. So I'm going to start off by telling you how my Sunday was. So I thought the game was going to start at 8:30, and I thought at 8:30, and at the time me and Claire were planning a date, so we were going to go on a date and then come back to her place and watch the end of the game. And then I found out that it was a 2 p.m. game, and I was at work for a 1:10 Brewers Brewers Cubs game. I think it's who they played. Yes, they played the Cubs. And so I was listening briefly to the game, but mostly following along on Twitter. And I have to say I am semi-relieved that I was not able to watch the final period of the season for the Blues. Because from what I saw and read and heard from people was that the Blues gave up. And for me to hear that, it was very and not necessarily made me angry, but just more upset than anything that they kind of gave up towards the end and that it was all Blackhawks in that final period. And this series, losing the series after going up 2-0 and losing it 4-2, really, I don't know, it hurts as a fan. Not because we lost a series, but because this was, in my most recent memory, meaning pre-2000 or post-2000, I'm just going to say post-2000, because that's when we won the President's Trophy, and then we lost to the Sharks in the first round in 70 games. But ever since that, I think that this is the team that was the most ready and most able to go deep and win a cup. And to have us go up 2-0 and then lose 4 straight in the manner that we did so close to 2013, I think it really just was heart-wrenching to see the team go down. And so I think with the playoff series and the way that it was, it hurts seeing the Blues lose in 6 games to the Hawks when we had such high hopes and just have it cut down right in front of us. That being said, this season overall was still a very important season, and it was a great season to be a Blues fan. And it was just absolutely exciting to see being there since 2004 when we were obviously the worst team in the league, and just continuing seeing this uprise of the team, and seeing us back on top where we deserve to be. It was great. And seeing the emergence of Jaden Schwartz was absolutely awesome, being able to see this young guy come up and seeing Vladimir Tarasenko be healthy for an entire season and still be able to get it done and show that he's the prospect that we all thought and we all waited for since he was over in the KHL. And to see Alexander Steen leading the NHL in goals for all of the first third and for just being in that scoring race. It was absolutely great to see. And So I have no regrets for the Blues season. And I think that this team is getting close to winning a cup. And we've got our 3 to 5 year window opened up this year, I think, because that's when we were really considered cup contenders and we really felt that we could do it go long. And with the Ryan Miller trade in February, that was seen as the token that the Blues needed to win the game, that's the card that you need, was the Ryan Miller card, the trump card. And for that not to pan out the way that a lot of people thought, especially myself, again, it was just not, it was not fun. And with Jake Allen coming up, I'm very excited to see, because Armstrong said today that today it was that Jake Allen essentially is going to be fighting it's his starting job to lose. And he will be playing number 1 minutes with whoever signs with the Blues to be their secondary goaltender. And so it's very exciting to see that young talent come up. But again, there's uncertainty moving forward with the goaltending situation, which has always been the Achilles heel of the Blues whenever they've been a team. It's just been good. So, like the entire season, I'm cautiously optimistic about my Blues and how we're going to go moving forward. But I have no regrets for the season, and I think that it was absolutely great to be a fan. And as much as it hurts and stings to have the Blues going down in 6 games to the Hawks, I am 100% grateful for everything that they did this year.
While 2 birds suddenly appear every time you are near, just like me, they long to be next to you, Jacob boy. This was not at all the sort of tone and tenor of what I thought you were going to do. I thought you were going to be much more explicit, many more cuss words, and a bit more frustrated and angry. But I'm very happy to hear, as your friend, that you have already moved past anger and depression, and you have moved on to acceptance already. And it appears that you will not need all 5 stages this time. And
No.
I'm just so proud of you. Your maturity has come a very long way since 2000 when you won the President's Trophy and got bounced in the first round by the Sharks. I'm proud of you, bro. Really. So let's talk about what Armstrong said. He said he wondered aloud if they didn't need a new formula. Oh, Korak 10 on Twitter.
Okay.
You need to take the knife and jam it through their eye and into the brain and kill them. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Agree? Disagree? Thoughts? Comments?
Oh, I 100% agree, because the Blues power play was absolutely awful during the series. Like, it was awful. And the Blues went 2 for 29 in the entire playoffs, and I believe they were 2 for 41 in the last 12 games for the power play. And the power play that ranked 3rd in the NHL. And it was just unbelievable to see how many shin pads the Blues took shots into. And when Armstrong talks about jamming the knife through the eye into the brain, twisting and killing them, that's what he talks about. He talks about drowning the puppy. He talks about curb stopping a team when they're down. And the Blues just don't have that killer instinct, and they don't have that X factor that you need to win a cup.
See, what you do is that you take your dominant hand and you open it, and then you place it on top of the baby's skull, and you wrap all of the fingers around it as tightly as you can. And then while pushing through the pad of your finger, you just crush and squeeze, and you don't stop until your fingers are back in your palm.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what just the Blues don't do that.
Via Extra Skater, although I'm looking at this through Pro Hockey Talk, the St. Louis Blues have the second lowest shooting percentage of all 16 teams at 6.5. When the only team that was worse, the Detroit Red Wings at 3.9. And funny enough, the soon to be eliminated Philadelphia Flyers are 14th at 8.1.
That makes sense, because the Blues missed 92 nets over the 6 games, which is, again, not being able to just put the knife in the head and just killing them.
So should they have traded for Molson instead?
No.
Is it because of Molson, or do you believe that the offense is good enough as is?
It's because the Blues were the second best offense in the league at the time of them on the trade deadline. That's why I don't think anybody would have seen the offense going this cold this fast, even with Tarasenko being the X factor and netting the all-important goals. I mean, you can't plan an offensive shortage like that, and you paid Miller to be able to stop the goals, and he was just good. He wasn't great. He wasn't historic. He wasn't lights out. He was just good, and good doesn't win playoff series.
Chicago Blackhawks. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, especially with the offensive Blues we're putting out in front of them.
Chicago Blackhawks, fourth in the NHL in shooting percentage at 10 So what do you think happens? What do you think happens between now and the beginning of the season?
Okay, that's what I wanted to kind of get to. I do not believe Miller resigns. I think he's going to ask either A, too much money, or Blues are going to say, this was your test run, and we didn't really like what we saw, so we're just going to let you go. And I would not be surprised if Miller ends up in either Anaheim or San Jose.
Right, and that's what I was alluding to earlier.
Exactly, especially if if the Sharks lose, I would not be surprised if Niemi is out and they trade him somewhere, because I believe his contract is not up this year, which is why he'd have to get traded. But Miller's going to go somewhere where he's going to want to win a cup, and I think teams like Anaheim and San Jose could possibly be looking for a goaltender, and he could be the answer. Moving forward, I think Jake Allen becomes a starting goaltender. I could see maybe the Blues signing an extension with Elliott, but I don't think he's going to be particularly happy for him to be the backup to a third straight goaltender. And so I could see him walking, and then the Blues either making a trade for somebody or something like that. Because they're obviously going to need a backup, and I don't think they're going to bring up Lindblad, I think is how you say his name. So yeah, I think Allen is going to become the starting goaltender. As for players, Sobotka and Schwartz are obviously going to be resigned. Those two guys have been fantastic. I don't think Roy comes back. I don't know if he's under contract. I don't think Roy, Morrow, or Ott comes back.
They're all UFAs.
Yeah, then neither three of those come back. We resign Schwartzy and Sobotka. We bring up Payarvi and Yashkin and Ratty. Those guys come up, and then I'm very on the fence about it, but I can see Berglund going somewhere else. And I think that the Blues make a move for a scoring center, but I don't know if they're going to land one.
It's a lot of moving parts. Which isn't to say that it can't happen. I mean, they have several UFAs that don't have a place on the team anymore, so you have to find a way to fill those slots one way or another. So that's like 3 or 4 moves right there, plus goaltending. All right, so why don't you go over to the Blues and see what their salary situation is looking like for next. Oh, hey, it works. Helps me. Because it works for you.
Or just needed somebody else to access it.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, why the hell is somebody looking at the Blues? And then when they saw a second one, they're like, oh shit, get on it.
Exactly. Alright, so very quickly in the forwards, people who are signed into next season: Backus, Oshie, Steen, Payarvi, Lapierre, Tarasenko, Yaskin, Porter, and Reeves, which excludes, obviously, Cracknell, Okoye, Schwartz, Sobotka, Morrow, Berglund, and Roy, who are either UFA or RFA. But the entire defense is signed for next year as well, excluding Koliakovo.
Except for Koliakovo, but nobody really gives a shit about Koliakovo.
It's a fun name to say, though.
I hate Koliakovo.
So much fun to say. Sir, what is your name? Koliakovo! Mr. Koliakovo, what would you like to name your son? Carlo! In any event.
Yep.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on in St. Louis this offseason. And I don't know, does Oshie stay as center? Because if not, there's like this pretty good center out in Ottawa that might get moved.
Yep.
Could you imagine having both Spezza and Oshie on the same team, though?
Fantastical
Indeed. But I don't know what to do with this roster. I honestly don't, and it's simply because you first need to pick what kind of team you want to be. What kind of team do you want to be, Jacob?
I think we still go with the defense first mentality that Hitchcock loves, and I think that we still employ that two-way forwards that have grit, but that also have the ability to score. And I think what we're just going to have to look for is that two flashy players to just get the job done and just put the frickin' puck in the net. That's what I think we team become.
Okay.
But I think guys like Schwartz is going to get a lot of offers. Sobotka is going to get a lot of offers as well. Berglund, not entirely sure, but yeah, I think that wouldn't be surprised to see the Blues trade the rights to Bergie to let him walk and possibly resign him. But I think Schwartz, and honestly, I would not be surprised to see Schwartz and Sobotka get an extension even before they hit the market.
I would be. I think that they will choose one and trade the other, and it might be Berglund who goes simply because he's starting at $3.25 million, whereas Sobotka is 1 1/3 and save the money.
Oh yeah, I mean, if anybody out of the Berglund, Sobotka, and Schwartz trio is traded, it's Berglund hands down without a doubt, because Sobotka is a fantastic third line player who is that exact type of two-way gritty player that Hitchcock likes. Schwartz is obviously showing he can be an offensive capability and is great in both zones. And then Berglund is he just hasn't lived up to the guy that the Blues have wanted him to be. He's just not the Swedish horse that we wanted. The Henrik Zetterberg on a budget sort of deal.
Who do you want in the cage? Who do you want defending your net? Well, you're trying to win a cup, right?
Trying to win a cup. I want Miller. I want Miller in net because he is the guy. He's been there. He's been on the big stage, and he's a good goaltender. He's a Vezina winning goaltender. And Jake Allen is he shows he's a great goaltender, but I still don't know if I trust a rookie netminder, if you consider him a rookie. I don't know if I trust him 100% with the net saying, here, go win us a cup. I think maybe 2 years down the line, of course I would. But he's still relatively unproven, and it's so not reassuring to know that going for a cup. But that being said, if he could be absolutely outstanding, and my tune could change 100% next year at this time after a full 82 game season, and I could fully believe Allen is has the stuff to win us a cup, but it's just still not 100% sold on him. I'm like 85, not 75.
I don't know. You might be able to do a Patrick Berglund for Marc-Andre Fleury trade.
I don't want Fleury in that. Fuck that shit.
What about Jonas Hiller?
Fuck no.
Yaroslav
Are you trying
Halak?
to make us lose in the first round?
Yaroslav Halak?
No. That's one. People were ripping on Miller, saying the Blues went 15-13 with Miller, and then they gave the stats for Halak. I was like, you guys got to remember, the Blues were awful heading into the playoffs, regardless of who was in net. Like 5 of those losses, 5 of the last 6 were Miller, because the team in front of him was just shitty. Yeah, he might have let in a couple of goals that he should have stopped, but Miller's not the scapegoat. It was the offense that should be the scapegoat for the Blues.
Should he have been?
The GOAT?
Yeah.
No. Because the team scored 1.5 goals per game in the last 4 games, and Miller doesn't score goals. I mean, that's just the plain way it is. The offense did not show up in the final 4 games. That's why the Blues are going to go after a goal scorer in the offseason after 3 straight years of not being able to offensively get it done in the playoffs.
All right. But just to be sure, you don't want Ilya Brizgalov. He is a free agent.
I would take Ilya as a backup.
All right.
I would take Ilya. I would love Mr. Universe in St. Louis because I think it'd be great for him. I don't know. There might be some pressure on him, but I'd love to see him as the backup to Allen. That'd actually be fun. I'd like that. I'd probably get a Briz jersey. Or at least a jersey.
All right. I think that's everything, bud.
I got one point. We talked earlier. You talked about how you thought I was going to be angry, at the Blues loss and that I was moving on to the acceptance stage. My anger was shown very much so after game 5 when the Blues lost in overtime on the Tays goal. I was at work and I listened to it. I was at work when I was listening to it. And I remember sitting there just boiling in my own stew of just being so angry that this was happening again. And then I had a bunch of Hawks fans text me and I just blew up. I was so angry Friday night. I was pissed off at everybody and it was bad. It was real bad. That was my anger stage, was I can't believe this is happening again. And I was just cursing left and right out via text. And the worst part is I had to keep it inside of me and be semi-professional at work. It was awful. I hated it. All I wanted to do was go home and just throw shit.
Not to belabor the point, but can you believe that it happened again?
No, I cannot believe how fucking similar games 1 through 5 were. It's unbelievable. And I think that's the other thing that made me angry is just the hockey gods just for some reason do not want to see me happy. They just don't want to.
But I do.
It's like, do I need to just do like a ritualistic chant to them or sacrifice my firstborn in order to win a cup? Like what do I
No,
need
it's
to
not
do?
Passover anymore. We don't have to do that shit again for the whole other year. You're a dad?
I'm not a dad, but Do I need to wait until I become a dad in order to sacrifice my firstborn in order to fucking win a cup? What do I need to do?
You probably do, but it'd be easier if you didn't.
I know.
You just kind of know, alright, the first time she gets pregnant, it's a miscarriage.
No, I just need the hockey guys to tell me what I can do, what I need to do so I can do it. Like, if I need to sell my soul to the person that the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Chicago Blackhawks sold their soul to, just let me know and I will do it for my team. I will do that. I will give you that sacrifice. Just give me a cup.
What's it like having a soul?
I'm not even sure if I know one. I was just assuming I do.
You should have stopped at the belch.
Oh.
Alright, but anything else on the dome?
Nope. That's it. My semi-rant is over. My feelings are back at normal. I am slowly getting over this win. Lose, loss, whatever. Fuck it. The season's over. I don't give a shit anymore.
Alright, folks. The Rangers are about to start kicking the Flyers' ass, and I need to go make some dinner and watch it. My good friend, as always, an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, so this was fun.
Alright, bud. I'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty.
Peace.
Deuces.